Hello, it's me. Bet you wondered where I've been. Yeah, probably not. But music is important to this story. This is a recent one. It goes back to this year, 4th of July. Now, if you saw my other video called, I think I called it Long Walk Home, that was a story about 4th of July. For the last 50 years or so, the tradition's been we gather at my brother's house on the 4th and watch the parade and eat hot dogs and that sort of thing. And the party now is hosted by my nephew Toby. He's actually my great nephew, if you want to be botanic. Having trouble talking today. But I always wondered why you skip to great nephews. You don't have grand nephews. Not that Toby isn't great, but he's also a grand fellow too. In fact, all my nieces and nephews are great. Even the ones who are first generation. They're all great, except for one. You know who you are. Anyway, so 4th of July, we're there, and it's pretty much an all-day thing for some of us. It was towards the end of the day, and Toby, who by the way is 7 years old, he'd finally pretty much burned off all his adrenaline and was actually sitting still for a bit, and we were sitting there, the two of us. And I forget what I said, but then I sang a song line, like I did just now. It was one of those things where it's like whatever we were talking about, and I said, yeah, that was me. Hello, it's me. And I said, that's an old song by Danny and the Tone Deafs. And I used to joke about that I was in a band called Danny and the Tone Deafs. Well, the thing about this is, when I said this to 7-year-old Toby, who has never heard me called anything in his life except for Uncle Dan, he right away went, was that you? And I just thought that was really perceptive for a 7-year-old to put together Danny and the Tone Deafs with Uncle Dan. And that's really about all I have to say about that. This is a pretty short one. I guess I could also add in a little more about Toby. I'm calling him Mr. Sports Ball now, because when he was 5, they decided to see if he'd like soccer. He fell in love with it. And from there, he's just gone on to every sport that they offer. And of course, at his age, they'll just have these little short things and that, but he's doing football and basketball and soccer and, there's something else. I can't remember if he decided to try wrestling. Pretty much everything, anything he could find. And the thing about this kid is, you got to know, he loves to run. He runs everywhere. In fact, one day last summer, him and his dad came over and they delivered hoagies to me or something. And I said to Toby, I heard you won basketball at the summer story hour. Because they did a thing where, every time you write a book, you put your name into a prize can, and you got to pick what prize you wanted to go to. And he was putting all his tickets in the basketball. And I remember his grandfather said to him, well, you can spread them around. What do you want the basketball for? And he says, I don't have one. Anyway, he ended up winning it. So I said to him, I heard you won basketball. And he said, yeah. And then he left, which wasn't too out of character for him to just like decide, okay, I'm out of here. And he came back about 18 seconds later, I swear, carrying the basketball. And I thought maybe he'd been carrying it with him and left it out on my back porch or something. No, he'd run clear home. And as I found out later, he'd also had a 2-minute conversation with his grandfather, who said something to him like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He said, "I have to show my basketball to Uncle Dan." And he was like, zip, zip back already. Even his dad said, "Did you run all the way home?" And so yeah, he's a runner. So the thing about this is, a month or two ago, I was talking to Caleb, the father of Toby, and I said, "Oh, I saw a sport you guys missed. I saw a thing on Facebook where they'd had elementary school track." And he said, "No." He said, "I saw that." He said, "I mentioned it to Toby, and Toby said, I don't like to run." That's all the kid does is run. He runs everywhere. If he's not sleeping, he's running. And he's probably also talking, because that's the other thing he does a lot of. Anyway, so that's a bit about Toby. And goodbye.